Hi everyone, welcome back to the Founder and Mother podcast. I am really excited as always to be here talking with you about all things bringing your mum business idea to life. I can't believe that we are up to episode 6. So far we have covered thinking about the why of a business. We've covered how to create a business template and I've given you a free tool to help you do that. We have spoken about the MVP mindset, which I hope has been something that's really helped you think about how to go from inaction to action and just to take little steps in the right direction. We have spoken about audiences, how to find the right target audience for your business and how to really keep them front of center with another free tool, which was the audience persona template. We have spoken about how to name your business. And so if you are following along, the next step in thinking about launching a business is talking about branding. And it's something that I'm really keen to talk to you guys about because I think that when people think about branding, what they're thinking of is a logo. And that's definitely an important part of branding. But branding is so much more than a logo. It's the feeling you get when you think about a brand. It's the reason, and sometimes it can be a gut feeling or an emotional reason. It's not necessarily logical as to why you would purchase from a certain business over another if they both sell the same items. It really is about why you kind of have loyalty or you advocate for brands because you resonate with who they are. And so what I want to talk about today is branding, but a really valued element of branding and something that I think we should all be looking at way before we get into thinking about logos or what your website's going to look like or even colors on the site. So let's get into today's episode. So why is branding important? And it really is about how it sets your business apart from the crowd. It's the reason that people decide to purchase with you. It's why people kind of give you the time of day and it can really help your sales. It makes sure that the people that are purchasing from you or the people that are looking for your business are the right people and it's the people that are going to get the most benefit from the products that you sell. So I wanted to give an example of a business that I think has awesome branding, and this goes way beyond the logo. So if you're in Australia and New Zealand, you may have heard of, it's a global company, but it's called Go-To Skincare. So it's a makeup brand, it's a skincare brand that is sold in some of the big makeup and beauty retailers around here, like Mecca or in America, Revolve. It's sold everywhere around the world and is a really cool business that I think's got an awesome brand. So beyond the logo, which is actually very simple, it's literally the words go to, there's no iconography in there. The color palette is very simple. It's 2 colors, peach and white. But if you take a look at their Instagram, which is at Go-To Skincare, you'll see that the way the brand is represented through tone of voice, through the way they talk, through the things that they write and the videos and things that they produce, it sounds like your best friend. It sounds exactly like the type of person you would want to listen to talk to you about skincare if you were a woman pretty much aged anywhere over 25, which is exactly who the target demographic is. It's witty, it's really clever. It talks about scientific things that are in the skincare and actives and ingredients, but it doesn't make it sound really overwhelming and hard to understand and a little bit beyond you. It makes it sound really relatable. It gives you the information that you need to be able to make an informed decision about the purchase, but it doesn't go so far as to kind of act like with really long technical phrases that might not be easy for everybody to understand. So it makes a huge deal about sounding really humorous, about putting lots of puns and jokes in and talking in plain English, like really speaking quite a straightforward way. All of these things go really a long way to kind of build trust as a woman aged over 25. If this brand sounds like the way in which my friends and I would talk about skincare, if the imagery that it uses is similar to the imagery that I would look at, looks kind of like me and my friends, those things start to build this foundation or this picture of who the brand is. And for me, that's a brand that's really trustworthy. It's a brand that's very inclusive. It's a brand that's really funny. And there's something in that, I think, that, it's entertainment just to read some of their blog posts and their captions. And it's a really friendly and warm brand. So I feel like I can trust it. It makes me feel like it's reliable. Now, all of those feelings that I get from the brand had really nothing to do with the logo. It was much more about the personality traits that have come through. And so that's what I want to talk to you today about. What I'm going to refer to that as is tone of voice. And it's to start to think about your business or your brand as a person and the kind of traits or the characteristics that they would have that would really resonate with the people that you want to purchase from your brand. I think that is far more important than a logo. And if you can nail the tone of voice that you want to have for your brand, it will inform exactly what color scheme you use. It will inform the type of logos that you have. It will inform the visual assets that you might put on your website. So nailing your tone of voice before you kick off with anything else to do with branding, I think is a really smart step. And it's one that doesn't have to take very long at all. If you can set aside literally 15, 20 minutes for a first kind of cut, that's all you need. So how can you find your business or your brand's tone of voice? And so to help you with that, I wanted to share a really quick activity that I've done with plenty of founders in the past who have come to me wanting to set up social media calendars or are looking to create the content for their website. It's something that I try and do really early on because it's really important to be able to articulate exactly who you are as a business and exactly how you want to be represented, because that, as I said before, that will really inform what kind of copy goes on our website, the type of language that we use, how much written word we need versus imagery, the colors, the theme, all of that kind of stuff is really important to know. Your tone of voice can take those things in 2 or 3, plenty of different directions. So getting really clear on that early on is critical. So for the activity that I'm going to share, I've actually created a template for it over on founderandmother.com, and you'll be able to find it under the free tools resources. So you can quickly download that and it'll show you what I'm talking about. But you don't need to download that if you want to be able to listen while you do some of the activity while you're listening to this podcast or watching this video. So to kick off, to be able to do that, I want you to think about, or if you've got a piece of paper, I want you to draw across through the middle of the paper. So one vertical line down the middle of the page and then one horizontal across the very middle. So that will, the lengthwise of the page, so that will give you 4 quadrants. So we want to have 4 boxes on a page. And to start to think about the tone of voice, we want to think about how your brand feels, how your brand sounds, and the types of words that we want people to think about when they think of your brand. So when I spoke about go-to before, there were a few adjectives that I used, and we want to be really in control, or we want to do as much as we can to put those words into the minds and the hearts and the thoughts of your customers. So this activity is going to help you get kind of clear on what those words are, and from there, those words will inform how we move forward. So on this page that you have now drawn with the 4 boxes, on the top left box and the top header, I want you to write the words "we are." And in here, I want you to brain dump. So think, even if you set a timer on your phone, sometimes that can be quite useful to set a timer on your phone for, let's say, 2 minutes. And in those 2 minutes, I want you to list as many describing words as you can about the personality of your business. So some words you might think about there's literally, you could put anything in here. But some of the words you might think about are you a friendly business? Are you casual? Are you laid back? Are you professional? Are you high energy? Are you modern? Are you fun? Are you serious? Are you funny? There's loads and loads of words that could describe the personality of your business. So in that first top left box, you're going to list as many as you can. So set that timer for 2 minutes, list out as many as you like, and then when you're done, stop, and we're going to move on to the next box. If you want to list things that you are not, so in that top quadrant, you could have a tick box for yes, we are, and a cross for we are not. So things that you might not be are obvious, but it might be that you don't want to be very scientific if you have a business that would be suitable for, or you don't want to be exclusive, so you want it to be really appropriate for everybody. So there might be some things that come to you, and it might be an easier way to think about the prompts if you think about what you don't want to be as well as what you do want to be. So we've done the top left. In the top right column, I want you to write the words "we sound." And here you're going to describe that tone of voice that the business has. So your personality traits and the way you sound can be quite different, and we're really starting to build that picture. So do go into this thinking about what's different from the first box. So the way that you could sound might be really straightforward. You might use words that are quite complex and intelligent, because that helps position you as like an expert in that field. You might be really approachable. You might sound really concise, so you'd use shorter sentences and be a bit more kind of to the point. You might be really practical, or you might be really personable, and you might really sound exactly like a person does, versus, so you might say words like you're rather than you are, or I am, or I'm rather than I am. Those types of things give a clue about who the business is. So we want to know what the business traits are, and we want to describe the way the business sounds. So literally, if the business was talking to you about the products or about anything, what type of feelings would they evoke with the way they sound? So they're the top two boxes. The bottom right box, I want you to put the header "Our customers." And here you are going to describe exactly the adjectives around who your ideal customers are. So your ideal customers might be risk takers, they might be passionate, they might be motivated, they might be frustrated, they might be happy, they might be short on time, there's lots of things that your ideal customers are. So think about describing words to help you really nail who those customers are. And then in the fourth and final box, you're going to put the header "Our customers describe us as." And so in here, these are the words that you want your customers to think about when they think of your brand. So you might have, and most likely this is the box where you're going to start to use adjectives and words like trustworthy or reliable or warm or friendly, if that makes sense for your business. Obviously, most businesses want their customers to trust them. So thinking about trust, honesty, transparent, authentic, they're kind of words that would generally sit in that bottom quadrant. So once you've done that 2-minute timer on each of those 4 boxes, so that would be 8 minutes, and you've maybe gone back and spent a couple of minutes just kind of reviewing those, that's a maximum of 10 minutes that you've spent. And what you've created on this one single page is a comprehensive overview of how you want your business to show up to your customers. You know how your business needs to represent itself, you know how you want your business to sound, and you know how you want your business to really show up. So having that kind of plan on a page, or that tone of voice guide on a page, is really important, because now you can cull those words. So you might have lots of words in some of the boxes, and if you can cull those down to kind of 5 to 7 adjectives, you've created yourself a guide of some really important phrases and words that you want to make sure come through in everything you do from now on with the brand. So yes, when you think about a logo, we want to make sure that those words and phrases come through. And when you think about colours, and when you think about the words that you write on your website, or the words that you put in your social captions, all of those things should be consistent with your tone of voice. And so tone of voice should be something that is the same right from when someone sees you on Instagram or reads some of the captions you've put up, through to how they see you on your website, through to the purchase experience, and then even in all the email comms that you send them throughout that process. So if your tone of voice is warm and funny and engaging, we don't want to use just plain templates from Shopify that speak, quite robotically. We want to make sure that warm, friendly tone is exuded. That warm, friendly tone is exuded throughout everything we do, because every opportunity we have to be in front of our customers and talk to them is another opportunity to really reinforce and hone who our brand is. So some examples of what tone of voice might do, in terms of what your colour scheme or your branding might look like. If your tone of voice is warm and friendly and inviting, it's less likely that your website is going to be black and feature, really heavy, bold text with, the serifs on it, looks a bit like Times New Roman. It's less likely that your website's going to have lots of graphics or objects. What's more likely is that you're probably going to have more of like a cursive script-like font, which looks a little bit more friendly, more personable, more approachable. Your images might be of people smiling, because we want to give that feeling of warmth. You might use a colour palette that has warm tones in it, like more like yellows or oranges, or colours that kind of represent that happy, warm feeling. Whereas if your brand is really very professional, it's meant to be expert in the field, we want people to read the copy that we've written and learn something quite, niche or scientific or, very, very expert, then we probably will start to use some longer words. We'll be explaining things in quite practical terms, it might look a little bit more monochrome because we're just trying to instill that sense of trust and authority. You probably will have images that are much more, like the classic on a bank website where you see the ocean or, somebody walking through a forest. You don't really see many people's faces. It's generally kind of backs of heads and open landscapes to make you think about, endless opportunity and the future and kind of put you in that position. So two different tone of voices can really give us completely different directions in terms of colours, imagery on a site, the types of text and the copy that we have. So first things first, create that quadrant on the page, spend 10 minutes putting some words in, get some feedback from some other people and some friends or your business partner or customers as well to make sure that you're kind of nailing it. And once you're happy with having 5 to 7 adjectives or words in each of those quadrants, start to think about how you can use that tone on your socials, how you can use it on your website, and how you can pepper it through all of the emails that you might have with your customer interactions. And of course, if you have any actual interactions with customers physically, make sure that you're thinking about that then as well. I hope that helped when you start to think about branding, and we'll go on to some more details about what the next steps are after we've got our tone of voice, but it really is important to think about that before you go ahead and start to create logos and websites, because it's easy to get quite mismatched and quite confusing, and then your brand doesn't stand out and who you are in the kind of crowded marketplace gets a bit lost. So tone of voice is a really, really good starting point with that, and I hope you found that useful.